Walter saw the FBI wanted poster during his coffee break. Richard Martinez, $50 million fraud, missing for 3 years. The photo looked familiar, but he couldn't place where he'd seen that face. Then he returned to his toll booth and realized the truth that would change everything. This man had been driving through his lane every Wednesday morning at 8:15 a.m. for the past 6 months. Same Honda, same beard, just different hair color. And Walter Henderson's 30 years as a U.S. Marshal had taught him one thing. Once you learn to see faces, you never forget them. Welcome to Echo Stories. Before we begin this incredible story of hidden identity and sharp instincts, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button to support our channel. The Golden Gate Bridge Toll Plaza, San Francisco, California. One of the most iconic bridges in the world, with over 120,000 vehicles crossing daily. For most people, it's just a brief stop. Pay the toll, drive through, forget about it. But for Walter Henderson, 67 years old, it had been his workplace for the past 8 years. Toll booth number 7, same shift every day, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. He'd greet drivers with a smile, take their money, give change, and send them on their way. Most people barely looked at him. Just another toll collector, doing a simple job. What they didn't know was that Walter had spent 30 years as a U.S. Marshal, hunting down federal fugitives, tracking dangerous criminals across state lines, and bringing justice to those who thought they could disappear. He'd retired in 2010, moved to San Francisco to be closer to his daughter, and taken the toll booth job to stay busy. Simple work, steady pay, no stress. After 3 decades of high-stakes manhunts, Walter was ready for quiet routine. But old habits die hard. Even behind the toll booth glass, Walter's eyes never stopped working. He'd scan license plates, study faces, note suspicious behavior. Not because he had to, because he couldn't help it. Every morning, Walter would arrive at 5:45 a.m., 15 minutes early. He'd review any overnight bulletins from law enforcement, check his equipment, and settle into what he called observation mode. The morning rush brought familiar faces, commuters with their coffee and smartphones, delivery trucks, tourists heading into the city. Walter had seen thousands of faces over 8 years, and his memory cataloged them all. There were the regulars, Mrs. Chen in her blue Prius every Tuesday and Thursday, the FedEx driver who always had exact change, the young tech worker who paid with crumpled bills from his cup holder. And then there was Wednesday morning Honda guy. For the past 6 months, every Wednesday at exactly 8:15 a.m., a middle-aged man in a silver Honda Civic would come through Walter's lane. Quiet, polite, always paid with a $20 bill. Dark hair, trimmed beard, sunglasses. Nothing particularly memorable about him, except Walter remembered everyone. Wednesday, October 15th, started like any other day. Walter arrived early, settled into his booth, and began the morning routine. During his 10 a.m. coffee break, he walked to the supervisor's office where law enforcement bulletins were posted. FBI most wanted updates, stolen vehicle alerts, missing persons reports. Walter still read them all, out of habit more than necessity. That's when he saw it. FBI wanted Richard Anthony Martinez, age, 52 charges, wire fraud, money laundering, racketeering. Amount $50,300,000 in stolen pension funds. Last seen, July 2021, Phoenix, Arizona. Reward, $100,000. The photo showed a clean-shaven man with light brown hair, but something about the eyes, the jawline, the way he held his head. Walter stared at the bulletin for a full minute. The face was familiar, but he couldn't place it. He'd seen thousands of faces in his toll booth, hundreds more during his Marshal days. Was this someone from an old case? A random resemblance? He returned to his booth with the image burning in his mind. 8:15 a.m. Arrived with Wednesday morning Honda guy, right on schedule. Silver Honda Civic, same license plate Walter had memorized months ago. The man pulled up to the window, handed over his $20 bill with the same polite smile. But this time, Walter really looked. The hair was different, darker, styled differently. The beard was new, but the eyes, the bone structure, the way he tilted his head slightly when he spoke, Walter's blood went cold. The FBI photo flashed in his mind. Remove the beard, lighten the hair, take away the sunglasses. This was Richard Martinez, federal fugitive, $50 million theft, 3 years on the run. And he'd been driving through Walter's toll booth every Wednesday for 6 months. Walter kept his expression neutral, gave change with steady hands. "Have a nice day, sir." "Thanks, you too," Martinez replied, just like always. As the Honda drove away, Walter's U.S. Marshal training kicked in. Don't spook the target. Gather intelligence. Plan the approach. This wasn't just a routine toll collection anymore. This was a manhunt. Walter's mind raced through the implications. Martinez had been using this route regularly, which meant he lived or worked somewhere in the area. The timing, every Wednesday at 8:15, suggested a standing appointment. Therapy, medical visits, business meetings. But Walter couldn't just call the FBI and say, "Hey, your fugitive drives through my toll booth." He needed to be sure. One mistake, one false alarm, and Martinez would disappear forever. That afternoon, Walter stayed late and accessed the toll booth surveillance system. 8 years of watching traffic had taught him how to work the cameras. He pulled up footage from previous Wednesdays, focusing on the 8:15 a.m. window. There it was. Silver Honda Civic, same plate, same driver. Walter studied the recordings frame by frame, comparing the face to the FBI photo. The more he looked, the more certain he became. This was definitely Richard Martinez. Walter had 1 week before Martinez's next scheduled appearance. 7 days to prepare what could be the most important arrest of his retirement. He called his old partner at the U.S. Marshal Service, Deputy Marshal Rebecca Santos. They'd worked together for 15 years, chased fugitives across 12 states. If anyone would believe his story, it was Becca. "Walt? Jesus, I haven't heard from you in 2 years. How's retirement treating you?" "Becca, I need a favor, and you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you." Walter explained the situation, the toll booth, the recognition, the surveillance footage. Becca listened without interruption. "You're absolutely sure it's Martinez?" 30 years of doing this job, Becca, I'm sure." "Okay, but we do this by the book. No cowboy stuff. You spot him, you signal us, we handle the arrest." They worked out the details. Unmarked cars positioned on both sides of the bridge. SFPD backup units standing by. Spike strips ready in case Martinez tried to run. Walter would give a prearranged signal when Martinez approached his booth. Then, law enforcement would move in, October 22nd, 8 a.m. Walter sat in his toll booth, adrenaline coursing through his veins for the first time in 8 years. This feeling, the anticipation, the focus, the razor-sharp awareness, he'd missed it more than he realized. Deputy Marshal Santos was positioned in an unmarked sedan 50 yards past the toll plaza. SFPD units were scattered throughout the area, disguised as routine traffic stops and maintenance crews. 8:10 a.m. Walter's radio crackled. "All units, this is command. Target vehicle should appear in approximately 5 minutes. Remember, wait for the signal from toll booth 7. 8:13 a.m. Walter's hands were steady, but his heart was pounding. After 3 years of freedom, Richard Martinez was about to face justice. 8:14 a.m. A silver sedan appeared in the distance, approaching the toll plaza. 8:15 a.m. The Honda Civic pulled into Walter's lane. Martinez looked exactly the same as always. Polite smile, $20 bill ready, no sign of nervousness or suspicion. "Good morning," Martinez said, just like he had dozens of times before. "Morning," Walter replied, taking the 20. As he counted out change, Walter keyed his radio with his foot, the prearranged signal that meant positive identification, move in. $16.75 is your change, Walter said, handing over the bills and coins. Martinez took the money, started to pull away, and then stopped. He was looking in his rearview mirror. The unmarked sedan behind him had activated its emergency lights. "Sir, please pull your vehicle to the right shoulder," Deputy Santos announced over a loudspeaker. Walter watched Martinez's face change. The polite mask slipped away, replaced by the cold calculation of a man who'd been running for 3 years. Martinez gunned the engine. What happened next lasted less than 3 minutes, but felt like an hour. Martinez's Honda shot forward, weaving between cars trying to exit the toll plaza. Santos pursued in her sedan while SFPD units converged from multiple directions. But Martinez had prepared for this moment. He knew every exit, every side street, every possible escape route. This wasn't panic. This was a well-rehearsed plan. The Honda darted through surface streets heading toward the Marina District. Santos radioed for helicopter support, while ground units tried to establish a perimeter. Walter listened to the radio chatter from his toll booth, feeling helpless. For 30 years, he'd been the one in pursuit. Now he was stuck behind glass, watching his last big case slip away. Then, Martinez made a mistake. Instead of heading for the freeway where he could disappear into traffic, he turned toward the waterfront. Santos recognized the tactical error immediately. All units, suspect is heading toward the marina. That's a dead end if we can control the exit points. The net tightened. SFPD units blocked escape routes while Santos maintained pursuit. Martinez's Honda was fast, but there was nowhere left to run. The chase ended at Marina Green, where Martinez abandoned his car and tried to flee on foot. Deputy Santos tackled him 30 yards from the water's edge. "Richard Anthony Martinez, you're under arrest for wire fraud, money laundering, and racketeering." As Santos read Miranda rights, Walter arrived at the scene. He'd closed his toll booth and driven straight to the marina, needing to see the arrest for himself. Martinez looked up from the back of the police car and saw Walter approaching. Recognition dawned in his eyes. "You, the toll booth guy. You're the one who made me." Walter nodded. 30 years as a U.S. Marshal. Old habits die hard. "I should have known," Martinez said, shaking his head. "I thought I was being so careful. Different route every time, different timing. Except Wednesdays." "Why Wednesdays?" Walter asked. "Therapy appointment. Court-ordered anger management from my divorce 15 years ago. I kept the same therapist, same time slot. Figured it was the one routine that couldn't hurt me." Santos walked over to Walter. "Nice work, partner. How'd it feel to be back in the game?" Walter looked at the handcuffed fugitive, the police cars, the coordinated law enforcement response. "Felt like riding a bicycle. You never really forget." The arrest made national news. Retired U.S. Marshal catches fugitive at toll booth, ran on every major network. The FBI's $100,000 reward generated headlines for weeks. Walter declined most interview requests. He'd spent 30 years in law enforcement. He knew the value of staying out of the spotlight. But he did agree to speak with a reporter from the San Francisco Chronicle. "I was just doing my job," Walter told the reporter. "Observing, remembering faces. It's what I've always done." "Do you miss being a U.S. Marshal?" "I thought I didn't. 8 years of quiet routine, no stress, no danger. But when I recognized Martinez, when that investigation instinct kicked in, yeah, I missed it." "Will you return to law enforcement?" Walter smiled. "I'm 67 years old. This was probably my last case. But what a way to end a career." Martinez's arrest led to the recovery of $31 million in stolen pension funds. Dozens of retirees who'd lost their life savings got their money back. 3 accomplices were arrested based on information found in Martinez's apartment. The case became a textbook example of how experience and instinct could triumph over high-tech surveillance and elaborate fugitive networks. Walter returned to his toll booth the following Monday. Same shift, same routine, same friendly demeanor with commuters. But something had changed. His colleagues looked at him differently now. The bridge authority offered him a promotion to supervisor. Other toll collectors asked for advice about spotting suspicious behavior. Walter politely declined the promotion. "I like my booth," he said. "You never know who might drive through." 6 months later, Walter still worked toll booth number 7. But now he had a new appreciation for the job. Every face that approached his window was a potential story. Every routine interaction was a chance to serve justice, even in retirement. His daughter visited more often, bringing his grandchildren to see Grandpa the hero. They'd point at news articles about the arrest, proud that their grandfather had captured a real-life bad guy. "Are you going to catch more criminals, Grandpa?" his 8-year-old grandson asked. "Well," Walter said, "I'll keep my eyes open. That's what marshals do." Deputy Santos stopped by occasionally, usually to share coffee and stories from active cases. She'd been promoted to chief deputy after the Martinez arrest, partly based on her handling of the operation. "You know what the best part was?" she told Walter during one visit. "Watching you light up when the chase started. You came alive in a way I hadn't seen since before your retirement." Walter nodded. "It reminded me why I became a marshal in the first place. It was never about the badge or the gun. It was about making sure the bad guys don't get away." In quiet moments between cars, Walter reflected on the nature of justice and service. 30 years of chasing fugitives had taught him that criminals often believed they were smarter than law enforcement. They'd develop elaborate schemes, sophisticated hiding places, perfect new identities, but they almost always made one mistake. They got comfortable. Martinez had been safe for 3 years, living quietly in San Francisco, attending therapy, building a routine. The routine was what trapped him. Most people think catching fugitives is about high-tech surveillance and complex investigations, Walter told a visiting law enforcement training group. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just about paying attention, noticing patterns, remembering faces. The instructor asked, "What advice would you give to young officers?" "Learn to see," Walter said, "really see. Every person you encounter could be the break in a case. Every routine traffic stop could be the arrest that changes everything. You never know until you look." 2 years after the Martinez arrest, Walter Henderson still reported to toll booth number 7 every morning at 5:45 a.m. He'd turned down 3 job offers from private security firms and 2 consulting contracts with federal agencies. The booth suited him. It was a perfect intersection of routine and possibility. Some mornings brought nothing but commuters and tourists. Other days brought interesting faces, suspicious behavior, license plates that didn't quite add up. Walter watched them all with the same careful attention that had defined his career. Not because he expected to catch another fugitive. Lightning rarely strikes twice in the same place. But because watching, remembering, and staying alert were who he was. Marshal or toll collector, the mission remained the same. Keep the community safe, one face at a time. His supervisor once asked why he never took vacation days. "Where would I go?" Walter replied. "This booth gives me the best view in the city. I get to see everyone who comes and goes, watch for trouble, maybe help catch a bad guy or two. What more could a retired marshal ask for?" The Golden Gate Bridge stretched out before him, carrying its daily river of humanity. Somewhere in that flow might be another fugitive, another criminal who thought he was invisible. Walter Henderson would be watching. And so, at one of America's most famous landmarks, it was proven once again how the most powerful guardians often hide in plain sight. A man dismissed as just another toll collector was actually one of the country's most experienced manhunters, still protecting the public one car at a time. Real protectors are like this. They may retire from active duty, but they never retire from the mission. Justice doesn't need a badge. Sometimes it just needs sharp eyes and a long memory. If this story meant something to you, share your thoughts in the comments. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, support Echo Stories by subscribing. See you in the next video. And remember, that quiet worker you pass by every day might be keeping watch over all of us.